Welcome back to another Colors of Prog. It's the YouTube channel where I discuss and sometimes review progressive rock music from all around the world. Uh, this particular episode, I've chosen only two bands to cover and not their entire output. I'm trying to make these a little bit shorter, so therefore we'll get more hits and you people will get bored. This time, I'm going to start out with a band from Norway called Wobbler. Wobbler, Wobbler. They founded in 1999. Their first album, Hinterland, which would be this one, came out in 2005. It's very much of interest to progressive rock fans, people who like Yes, the Italian band PFM, and other, I would say, symphonic prog bands, especially those of an earlier time. Wobbler, although being a Norwegian band, they do sing in English, and they use quite a bit of a keyboard sound that's kind of out of fashion in the 2000s. That being Mellotron, Mini Moog synthesizers, and the Hammond organ. But they do it really well. Actually, you could hear quite a few Yes influences on Hinterland, but I would say it doesn't really sound like Yes. I mean, it doesn't really sound like the vocals don't sound like John Anderson, but the feeling that you get from listening to Yes music, Wobbler did quite a good job on Hinterland. It's a hidden gem in the vast progressive rock world of musicology. Now, Afterglow, their next album, was released in 2009, so pretty much almost 5 years later, after Hinterland. But it was apparently recorded before Hinterland, around the time the band formed in 1999. They just dusted off some tracks. And in comparison, many people compare it to Anglagard, another Eastern European band. And Afterglow I found to be brief, just about hitting 30 minutes with its songs, and there's not many of them. There's five. There's two longish tracks, one at 15 minutes and one at 13 minutes. One's not even a minute long, so it's a really interesting thing that they would do that. Why try releasing a recording from almost 10 years earlier as anyone's guess, but I assume they went back to the tapes and liked enough what they heard. It wasn't until 2011 that Wobbler finally got around to getting back on track and came out with The Rights of Dawn, their third album proper, released in 2011, and it's a true or successful Hinterland. It's a slight change up in the sound. I would have to say it's more similar this time to Camel and Caravan. Music of that ilk. I think people would really like Wobbler because, by the way, it's just different. It's music from another country, non-English band using English language very well in their vocals and really doing really quite well with the progressive rock sound. To my knowledge, the latest Wobbler release is Dwellers of the Deep, which we actually have here on vinyl. Only 4 tracks over, over a nice 180 gram. And the band is probably one of their best works. The Yes influence, and I must say it's very apparent, is back on this album. From the bass parts, heavily influenced by Chris Squire, to the chords placed throughout, all good stuff, and something I think you should check out in your musical travels for progressive music from all over the world. Next, we're going to jump to a bit of a stranger one. Tony Williams, Lifetime. I only really knew of Tony Williams as a jazz drummer who worked with Miles Davis. I think between 1962 and 1969. But the music coming from the Tony Williams Lifetime is some crazy stuff. Emergency, the first Tony Williams Lifetime album, is this one, and it's crazy. One can easily hear on here a precursor to some prog and heavy metal music in the years to come. This is 1969. Just a trio with Tony Williams on drums, John McLaughlin on guitar, and Larry Young on keyboards, I believe. And this is not your standard jazz trio. I believe if somebody said, oh yeah, there's a lot of jazz drummers that have influenced so and so and so and so, and that's quite true. And I know Tony Williams was very influential on somebody like Bill Bruford. And you hear this, and you could definitely say, oh, wow, Bill Bruford, for example, definitely was influenced by this guy. This guy's a maniac. I've read, and you could hear it, that at times when the Tony Williams Lifetime band played live, he would have big amps on stage facing him because he played the drums so loud. And then McLaughlin, later to be replaced by Alan Holdsworth, so loud, and the keyboard player was playing so loud, he claimed he couldn't hear the drums, but everybody in the audience was being pummeled by this crazy sound. It's almost metal at times. Really, really good stuff. There's a fury in this. Bands like King Crimson, through all their drumming pyrotechnics throughout the career, Greenslade, Coliseum, all those prog like bands. It's just this is the place where a lot of that came from. Tony Williams' Lifetime. Crazy stuff indeed. And actually, this being, I believe, Emergency is a studio album, but it sounds live. You could hear the rattle and hum from the drums. They probably had no idea how to mic this thing for the studio. Crazy, crazy stuff. Turn It Over, 1970. It's pure black. And I've read somewhere that Tony Williams was very much influenced by the avant-garde sounds of pre-punk pioneers, the MC5, and the Velvet Underground. And he, not so much maybe the music, but the vibe of change. And what's really interesting about this album is that the trio is augmented this time by a bass player named Jack Bruce. Yes, that Jack Bruce from Cream. Jack only sings on one song, but he plays bass throughout. And McLaughlin's still here, so is Larry Young. And basically on organ. And so Tony Williams, again, the guy is a monster drummer. He's doing some talking things here and there, which might turn off some people, but at the same time, it's not rap jazz. It's not. This is 1970, folks. It's not scat singing. It's not filling in the blanks. It's sort of like a psychedelic acid rock thing he's doing here. Again, it's pretty crazy. Then a thought came to me while listening to Turn It Over, this album, is that I went and grabbed some German albums from the what was called the space rock music movement, like some Can and Grobschnitt, and I listened to some Hawkwind, and I said, "Wow, look at that! Heavily influenced." Which started around the same time. I think a lot of people in that part of the world was listening to this. And Tony Williams' lifetime, the band would have major shifts over the years. He actually had a later album that was more commercial, but again, Tony Williams' lifetime, highly recommend it. Emergency might be more palatable for your prog rock listening taste, but if you really want to go out there, I like Lifetime. It's pretty out there. And again, Wobbler, I really enjoyed these, and I hope you will too. I hope you guys will take a chance on this stuff. They're really a good band, quite good. I guess you could say for having formed in 1999, although some of the members were in other earlier bands. I think White something was the guitar player, came from White Witch, I would say, something like that. But again, I'm not sure about that. But anyway, Wobbler, Tony Williams, highly recommend them. Thanks for listening. Stay well, stay safe, and enjoy your music, whatever you're listening to. That's all for now.